All right, so today I have the pleasure of being joined by a returning guest, one of my best friends, and the current head coach of Central Michigan's Division I ACHA hockey program, and that's Liam Kenney. Liam recently accepted the position in April after serving as the associate head coach for Canton High School's varsity team in Michigan. He also spent some time in the ACHA as a player for Concordia University. He was an assistant coach for them as well after his playing career was over. Liam, an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today. You're a returning guest, probably for like the sixth, maybe seventh, maybe eighth time. So you're definitely up there in the leaderboard with the sports guru Mike Hurley for the most appearances. But how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Jamie. I appreciate you having me. Yeah, it's definitely been a bunch of times with a bunch of different people, guests, all our buddies and stuff. So it's great to be back.
Great to have you on. Thank you so much for your time. I'm excited to hear about your short few months now you've been at CMU, and then hear more about your time at Canton and obviously at Concordia as well. Like I mentioned, you were an associate head coach for Canton from November of 2024 through April 2026. So just about 2 years there that you spent as a head coach. You're also the assistant coach of the JV team there, and then also served as an assistant coach at Concordia for a few years after playing for a couple of years there as well. So it's great to hear, obviously, about your career as a coach. It's obviously grown now since we last spoke on the podcast. The last time I had you on was probably early 2024, mid 2024, when you were an assistant coach and you were still playing maybe as well. And now, obviously, you're a head coach at Central Michigan. So we'll start there. What was your reaction when you first accepted the job at Central Michigan?
Yeah, I was super excited to be open to the opportunity. I was talking to a couple other programs between the U18 AAA level, girls, guys, and the college level. My goal was always to get back in college. After playing and transitioning into coaching at the college level, I enjoy coaching guys who are my age or a little bit older. I like that age group of 18 to 25. I think it's a great age group. I think you're kind of past the development point where you're kind of learning systems and implementing it and working as a unit, while high school is a little bit more the development side. So when I had the opportunity, Brittany Nope approached me. She's a head of director ops for D1. I was thrilled to take the position. I was very lucky. The president of the board is Carter Schluckbier. I actually recruited Carter 2 years prior to come to Concordia, and he also played for my junior coach, Jason McCrimmon. So we had a lot of strong connections there. So it was a very easy transition into the program. Guys been super accepting and looking for the accountability we're looking to build there.
That's awesome. Glad to hear, obviously, everything's going well. And you obviously made great use of your connections along the way. Somebody you recruited just a few years prior was an asset in helping you obviously get the job you have now. So definitely continue using your network, dude. It's definitely a great advantage to have. You've obviously made a lot of great connections. So continue to do what you're doing. Congratulations on the job there at Central Michigan. What has the transition been like going from the high school game in Canton, obviously, at Canton High School in Michigan, now jumping to the college level or back to the college level?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest things that I talked about was development. I think that at the younger level, when you're looking at high school, you're truly developing the game. A lot of guys come to you not knowing any kind of forecheck or systematic plays or what it looks like to play as a team. So I think you're developing the IQ there and also the skill. I think passing always needs to be developed at that level. I have college guys who still need to work on their passing. So I think that's one of the biggest things that is a transition of kind of refining those skills and implementing them in games rather than it just being a pass to a guy. You're looking for a pass to the next level and the next layer in the ice and kind of seeing where that will progress downhill. At the college level so far, it's been great. It's definitely been a transition. We were 81 out of 81 last year, so it's a full rebuild. We had a lot of guys coming back, thankfully. We did lose some guys. One of our seniors last year, Frankie Williamson, is actually going to come back as assistant coach. He was a captain for the team and also had 3 years at the junior level. So very experienced guy. He's been around the game for a while and understands what the culture was from losing by a lot and understanding that now we're pushing to that new future.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're obviously stepping into a program that is new in the ACHA level, right? They only had 1 year so far in the ACHA level. So obviously it's a new beginning, and obviously there's a lot to still figure out, and you're obviously still filling out the roster as well. What has the recruiting process been like for you over the last few months? I know you said you have some guys returning.
Yeah, it's been great. Being at the high school level, I was able to have some connections there, so I was able to leverage those to get guys who were playing some AAA levels to bring in. Like I said, Jason McCrimmon, I brought him one of his players, Casey Sullivan, who I'm really happy to have this year. With that, I go to a lot of the showcases in the area. Is huge. Capper Hockey Services does one in the area. They do one in Chicago. We'll also be attending the one in Adrian. That's been great. I've also been able to connect guys great just from there. So I think those showcases have been awesome for the recruiting process. It's been a really open conversation with guys. The first meeting I had with the team was, hey, I'm recruiting guys for your jobs. The understanding is that we're pushing guys down the lineup, to improve our team. The standard we're at now is unacceptable, so we're fully rebuilding that. Guys coming in have been clear on what those roles will look like. You will not be sitting in a suit as a freshman. You won't be taking stats. You won't be pushing pucks. You'll be in games right away. You'll be having those opportunities to play 5-on-5, top six, top four, or special teams right away, which a lot of those guys are happy to grab those opportunities. It's a lot of guys who are coming out of juniors in their last year or maybe having one more where I'm kind of done playing juniors. I don't want to pay the money and see where the landscape is and the NCDC and the NAL now and everything changing and the teams jumping up. You don't really know where your footing's going to be, where college isn't going to change. They're here. We're here to stay for you guys. ACHA is always passing rules to make it more player friendly, where we're trying to keep people safe when teams are recruiting NCAA one. Once you say that, you can't play in natties. And they've been really good on keeping it really strict to allow an even recruiting field. And I think that's awesome. I think teams like us who are player funded, we need that even field to even have a competitive advantage. And the guys get that. We're fully rebuilding our locker room, but guys are into that. They want to be the new guy stepping in and rebuilding this program. Like you touched on, last year was our first year at D1, and it definitely was a big jump and maybe too big of a bite for us with our old regime, but they moved past that about 10 games in the season. Like I said, Director of Hockey Ops Britt hopped in. Team righted themselves from a mentality point of view. This year, we're very lucky to have a strong season between our conference and the GLCHL with Northwood, who was nationally ranked last year and had a chance in playoffs at the ACHA tournament, to other teams in our conference who will be really competitive games. On top of that, we have some D2 tournaments. We're going down to Wittenberg, going up to Northern Michigan, playing in the UP, which will be pretty cool for the guys. And then on top of that, we have 2 USP scrimmage games. So we're getting some junior kids on campus to view our campus, meet us, meet our president. He's going to come out and talk to them because he's a huge hockey fan. President McKinnon loves his hockey. I love having him out to games. This year, it's going to be great. I did a lineup read last year and some ceremonial puck drop. So I think even though we're player funded, we do have people at the school who want to see it succeed. We're working with the alumni base. I think once people see, wow, hockey can be good in Central Michigan and Mount Pleasant, because there really isn't any other market, we're going to grow really rapidly. And I think that's going to be a year or two from now, but I'm excited to see that growth. And these guys are bought into having maybe one more tough year or maybe one more year of fighting for what we need to get done, playing the right way of hockey, whether that's high flying or whether that's just playing gritty and playing a real passive system where we're playing traps. I think that's going to be more where we're at this year. That's how we're going to succeed. And I think guys get that. And it's been really clear fishbowl mentality where you can see everything that's in here. We're going to work on our systems together. It's going to be built by them, because you got to value the guys who are on the ice, guys sitting in the bench, and even the goalies seeing the full ice. If you don't do that, you're not using your resources enough.
Mm-hmm. The resources are important, obviously. And I know you did mention, obviously, that it's a player-funded program. So how can fans, alums, anybody listening to this, how can they help you build this program to be a sustained winning program over not just 1-2 seasons, like you said, you're trying to build a future here. How can they help you? Anybody listening?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you go to at CMU D1 Hockey on Instagram or Facebook, those are our 2 biggest and active platforms. We currently are selling team merch till June 22nd. I'm hoping to push that back a little farther so fans have the opportunity to buy a little bit more. We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, tumblers, kind of anything, quarter zips you might need, men's and women's sizes. Our goal is to also have a golf outing. Not a goal. We are having a golf outing in late August, August 21st. We're looking for sponsors for that. And then throughout the season, we'll be running even more sponsorships and fundraisers, selling popcorn. We're also doing more merch stores down the line. We're hoping to do more t-shirts and logo designs in late August, and then somewhere in October, November. So the shipping will be in time for Christmas, doing our jackets, our heavy sweatshirts, and blankets, flannel sweatpants, anything you kind of want to get for gifts for Christmas. So lots of opportunities to get some good Central Michigan merch, and every item you buy, a part of that purchase goes straight to the program. So it's a great way to support the program, support our merch, and then check out our schedule coming up soon. We're going to have team events throughout the year, whether it's a frat night. We're connecting with CMU Barstool, hopefully in the future, to have a CMU Barstool night, and a bunch of the teams in the area and school restaurants in the area are big supporters of the program. You can do Chuck a Duck and win a Buffalo Wild Wings gift card, some fun stuff like that too. So check out at CMU D1 Hockey, Facebook and Instagram to get all that information.
I'm looking forward to obviously buying some merch and then hopefully seeing you next year, obviously coach there. It's going to be exciting, obviously, your first year with the program. And you did obviously mention as well the process of trying to get guys that play to the junior level, and that's something you did. You obviously played for the Maine Eclipse, the Walpole Express, right? At points, in your career in high school. So what has that been like? Obviously, recruiting guys that play to the junior level. Has that helped you kind of connect with some of the guys you're trying to get since you've obviously been there and done that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been very lucky to actually connect with players who have played with players I directly played with, or coaches I've had, or even at the ACHA level, having coaches that are now coaching players I've played with in the past. It's a lot of like random connections like that. I've been very lucky to play in a lot of different teams, like you said. So those connections are high and spread wide. So I've been loving to do that. Yeah, I think it's good to have that conversation because I think a lot of guys, like I said before, realize the landscape of junior hockey has changed immensely since COVID and even before COVID. It's been just changing year by year. I think USP is building more teams, which is building the opportunity for guys, but I think opportunity sometimes hurts what the skill level, right? I think just not everyone should be playing junior hockey. I think that's just kind of the way it is. So I think some guys get that and they see this opportunity to play ACHA D1 hockey. It's not watered down. It's 81 teams. That's it. D3, there's a lot more, but there's still great skill in D3 because guys want different opportunities at different schools. You can come to CMU for some degrees, or Oakland or Lawrence Tech. There's different opportunities at different schools, but I think ACHA gives the easiest path, and guys understand that if you've been in their shoes. And I think I've been lucky to have that opportunity and experience.
Mhm. And you've been there. You've been there in their shoes as a player and as a coach, obviously, as well. You coached at Concordia, you played at Concordia, and then obviously mentioned at the junior level as well, the experience you had there. So definitely is a way you connect with the players, which is great. And what qualities do you look for in players that you're recruiting?
Yeah, I think being direct, I think it's a really small thing, but when we have booths at events like Capper Showcase, when we're on the ice with players, then coming up and introducing themselves, hey coach, I'm blah blah. I play for this team. I'd love to connect with you. I looked at Central Michigan. I think having questions already researched just shows us that you care. It shows that you have investment into the program. That I'm not just some guy you're talking to because you feel like you have to. Because do you want ACHA hockey? I got to talk to this guy, right? No. I think showing intent behind everything you do is important. How you do anything is how you do everything. I think it's a basic quote, but it's very important. I think it's a real quote. I think a bit of grittiness. I think when I say grittiness, I don't mean just like blowing up guys. I mean just like showing off in a way where I'm gonna go through your hands and take that puck away. I'm gonna be the bigger, faster guy. That shows that you have intensity, and I think it shows that you have a higher meter to push that level. It's just a showcase, right? Because some guys might coast, or some guys might not show up to the opportunity. Do the basic stuff and do that stuff well. That's where you show out. I don't need a guy who's gonna go toe drag a bunch of guys, go end to end. I think the stuff you do away from the puck is way more important than stuff on the puck.
Especially when you're building a team chemistry, right? You need guys that gel together, obviously play off the puck, like you said, guys that aren't afraid to play defense, aren't afraid to take hits, aren't afraid to hit themselves, hit guys in the open ice. You need guys that are willing to do all of the dirty work and then also all of the little things that add up to winning. And over the course of your playing career, you always did the things that the team needed to win, whether that's on the power play, the penalty kill, 5-on-5 itself, right? Like you were always willing to do the things that you needed to do to help the team win. And that's obviously something I'm sure you're preaching now to the team. What are some of the core values you're looking for and that you're trying to build the team around this upcoming season? Besides, I know you mentioned obviously one being intensity on the ice.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate at Canton to work with great coaches, Aaron Schwartz and John Fitchett. We built a system based off 4 C's. Originally it was 3 when I came into the program: communication, composure, and compete. Communication being on the ice, talking to your teammates. I think that's a really easy part of it. But the other part of it is, if you're going to be at practice, shoot us a text. If you're not mentally yourself, let us know. If you don't understand a system, of a drill doesn't make sense, if anything, you got to come talk to us, because we don't know, we can't read your minds. It's just life. It's always a fishbowl. That's kind of the mentality we always have. I think that's just as important as dumping a puck at the blue line, right? Like I think stuff like that's really important, and it's not just X's and O's. When it comes to composure, of course, that's not doing stupid penalties, but it's also knowing the systems. It's understanding what we're trying to get out of each shift. We're not trying to score a goal each time. If you're on the fourth line, I don't expect you to do the Michigan. I want you to get pucks deep, play a strong D zone, run our system, and get the pucks deep and get the next line going, right? I think that's kind of it. I think that's a really big part of it. And also understanding drills. I think we do a lot of drills where we don't go do board time. I send the drills out the night before, guys review it. I post it up in the locker room. I'll go in the locker room. Hey, guys, got questions for about 5 minutes before we hit the ice, and we're going. That's kind of the way I run my drills. My high school guys can do it. College guys better be able to. And that goes back to communication, that if you don't understand the drill, come ask us. And then compete is just working your bag off and everything. We just need to be better than everyone else. If you're not, you're already losing. And then one we had to add was class. We wanted that to be assumed, but with our JV program, of course, there was a little bit of a tussle after a game, so we had to add class to that. But those are the four key, I would say, pillars, whatever you want to call it, that I look for. The other two is like a or a goldfish mentality. I love Ted Lasso. I always use Ted Lasso references. I think being able to wipe and repeat, whether you're a goalie or defenseman or forward, like you're gonna throw pizzas, you're gonna miss the net, you're gonna let in bad goals. That's just kind of life. Spit, wipe, repeat, move on. Like it's gone. So just get the next one. You can't pull the puck out of the net. If you can't do that, you already lost. And I think that was a big struggle the guys had last year. Is puck went in the net. Oh, it's again. Oh, we're gonna get pumped. Oh, we're gonna lose. Blah 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 blah. So I think the biggest thing is building a mental mentality and the strength. And there's a lot of people out there that I'm going to be leaning on for that. There's a lot of mental coaches out there that have been great for us. Prana Training is one of them. He does a great job with all the stuff he does. We'll have him out with us throughout the year. But those are the biggest things I look at when I'm recruiting, looking for the team and kind of instilling into the program.
Mhm. And I loved one thing you mentioned. You're going to make mistakes on the ice, right? As a player, even as a coach, right? You're going to have a play where you're like, oh, maybe I didn't set us up that well for a power play. But like you as a coach, like you as a player, you always are looking forward to that next play. Okay, let's get things right. And that's important, obviously, for the team to try to instill, that next play mentality. You might miss a play, miss a pass that could have been a goal. You gave up a, tough 2-on-1, whatever it may be, a tough penalty. But those things you can't overcome by just getting ready for that next play. And especially when you're building a program, it's going to be game by game. You're just looking for progress, right? And that's going to be really important for next year. And for any fans that are watching this, alums as well, what style of hockey can they look forward to watching your team play next year?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this team. Our goal is to play a very, I'm going to call it long ball. It's kind of the idea of soccer. Once you get over the red line, we're looking to try to just set up our forecheck, whether that is a clean entry, whether that's a clean dump throwing on the goalie so he has to play it, or finding the three sections in the ice that we designate as our spots, and then kind of running a trap. We want them to make the mistakes. We want us to be able to capitalize on that, but we want to do it as early on the ice. We're not going to be sitting in the neutral zone. So I think it's going to be a lot of team play, a lot of line flowing. We got four lines that I fully trust that can put the puck in the net and also play D, which is great. I think that a lot of guys are going to have opportunities to step up. So I think every game is going to be different and have opportunities to change. So I think that's great. You might have a favorite player one game and he might not play a lot, and the next game might change. So I think you're going to have an opportunity to see a lot of our players. Same with the goalies. We are lucky to have a goalie in each grade level, but they're all about 1 year apart in age. We have a freshman who's at, I believe, the same age as our senior goalie. So it's awesome to have that competition in the goalie room because it pushes us. I think that's the same thing last year. They had 15 total bodies. This year we're going to have about 25 or 23. It's great to have that because it's light everyone's bum, and we need that to kind of get us right back on the right track. So I think guys are gonna have a lot of compete. We're gonna have to compete in practice. We already talked about it. University of Michigan. I got this from Topher Scott, who runs a hockey think tank. They do small area game tracking. So every day we'll do small area games split between maroon and gold. If you go 4-1 and I go 1-4 and we're against each other, I track that. Let's say the next day we're on the same team. You go 2-2, I go 2-2. So you're now 6-3, I'm 3-6, and we're gonna track that throughout the year. So biggest thing for that is kind of see like you work hard, it shows in the practice, right? It's like small area games. It's not a really skill area. It's 2-on-2, 3-on-3. Who wants to put the puck in the net? So it shows guys who wants it, and it makes my job easier. Like, hey, dude, if you're 20 on the list, why would I play you? Like, why would you get ice time if you're not going to work your bag off in practice? Why would I put you in a game? So I think it's really good to have that where it's a physical, hey, look at this, rather than when I hear guys and juniors, I've had one-on-one meetings and guys have said, like, coaches tell me to work on speed. What does that mean, dude? Like, that's like if I told you in baseball, I want you to work on hitting. Like, that doesn't work. Like, that's not it. Like, you got to help me a little more than that. And they get that. So we've been breaking down film and stuff and being really direct. And that's what one of my things I love doing is film. We've ran about an hour to 2 hours of film with Canton, whether that was in person or videos I cut up and they watch on their own. But keeping those sessions under 20 to 25 minutes is the biggest thing for that kind of stuff, is keeping it short, keeping it simple, where they're bite-sized. Kind of went off topic there, but no, I think that for the alumni fans, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of smart plays, transition in the neutral zone, getting pucks over the red line, and hoping for them to make mistakes and us capitalize on that and playing as much as north as we can. Because I play it all the time. Easiest way to play defense is just to play offense.
And that sets you up to win, obviously, each end. Then
Absolutely.
special teams as well, right? You want to win, obviously, and power play opportunities, PK opportunities. You always want to try to maximize on those, trying to limit goals, obviously, in the PK, then power play maximize the chances of scoring. And obviously, in your playing career, you're able to be part of both of those units, right? Power play and penalty kill. I do have a question for you. You did mention film, which I'm happy you did mention. I know you said you went off track, but you didn't at all. I think it's a great thing to mention. How do obviously, film sessions and analytics, how do they fit into your coaching philosophy, whether it was at high school, at the college level, whatever it may be?
For sure. When it comes to analytics, I use them real basic. I use them as like kind of one and dones. When I say one and dones, I mean I don't want to carry in every single aspect of the game. I think when you do that, it kind of gets cloudy. For example, this ideology Derek Henderson came up with, it's 10-second hockey, is when the puck gets over the blue line, within the 10 seconds, that's when the best opportunities are going to happen in the zone, whether that's a turnover. So he likes to flip it on both sides, and I totally agree with him. Flipping it on both sides is really important, but you never want to bite on one thing and have that always be your bread and butter, right? So I love that he uses that, and that's his main ideology, but I love using it as a tool in my belt. So I think that's the same thing with film. I think there's a bunch of coaches with different ideologies, but we got to break that down into bite-sized pieces for the guys, because they will not understand half the things I tell them if I just tell them like this, right? They're kids, whether they're 25 or 18, like they're kids at the end of the day, mentally. So I do Instagram videos. I find Instagram videos all the time of just coaching philosophies that I agree with, whether it's getting pucks off the wall or a new forecheck that I think we should talk about. Doing that makes it A, accessible for them because everyone's on Instagram, and two, it's just easier for them to bite into it and want to look because they're not having to bolt the computer and sit down and be like, oh, now I gotta watch film. It's clicking a link that I put in the group me. It's super easy for them to do. And then when it comes to the season, I think the biggest thing for that is doing it by groups. I don't want I Of course, whole group film is great. Everyone, the whole team, everyone gets something out of it, but that's where you lose attention because there's so many eyeballs, so many guys talking. So I think doing it by line, doing it by system, that's the biggest way to succeed. And again, keeping it 20, 25 minutes. I learned that in college, that most people in that age group, that's how long their attention span can be for videos or long one-on-one conversations or group conversations, excuse me, like me talking to an audience, something like that, doing film. So 20, 25 minutes has been my bread and butter, and it's been really well at the high school level. We'll try to push it a little bit more at the college level because we got some med students on the team, mechanical engineering, so I hope they can stick around a little longer for hockey when it's not their classes. But yeah, that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to film.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that you split up the team and do that because I think it gives you an opportunity to get to know the players more, obviously at a more personal level when it's just pods of 3, 4, whatever it may be, or you said lines. So obviously
Yeah.
groups of like 4 or 5 guys. I think that makes it easier to get to know guys as well, and makes it easier for them to relate to you too. They see you obviously up there. It's a little easier to explain to 4 people than it would be to 25 all at once. And you split things up as one, and that leads me to my next question. Obviously, you're a players first coach. That's something that the Central Michigan Division I program mentioned on their Instagram post and LinkedIn post when they hired you. And I'll tell you the exact quote. They mentioned that you were a player first coach and then mentioned the 4 C's that obviously you talked about already. How do you build trust with your players that allow you to obviously encourage them and support them when things are going well, but then also critique them when they need to be critiqued, whether it's in a film session or mid game? How do you build that trust with your guys?
For sure. I think it starts off ice with just caring about the person. When we have our conversations at the one-on-ones, I figured out what guys were studying, where you're from, what do you do outside the rink. I think that's one of the biggest things, so I can have a conversation with them on that. If I don't see them as people, I already lost the battle. Because the goal, like, we're making better people, and that should lead to better hockey players. Like, if I don't worry about that, I'm already messing up. So I think that's step one. After that, I think it's inviting them into every conversation. My goal this year is to have a really big leadership group, whether every guy wears a letter, they're not. So there's gonna be a lot of guys in that group where I'm gonna pull them and talk to them, and sometimes maybe I'll just pull in the freshmen. So I think making sure everyone has a voice and different opportunities. And I've been trying to do a great job with my assistant coach Frankie to empower him in drills and having conversations and giving him his own opportunities to grow and kind of have his own voice because it's hard to go from a player to a coach. I've been in that exact situation in Concordia. So being empowered and having those opportunities is going to let them succeed. Same thing with all our new guys. Those guys need to be feel empowered to feel like they're part of the program. So new guys are usually called rookies. So one of the things I already told our vets is the first 1 to 2, 3 weeks, I haven't really decided yet. You are filling bottles. You're doing the rookie duties, filling bottles, picking up pucks, puck walks. You're doing all that kind of stuff. So the rookies will see, well, when I get yelled at by a vet, I can't be like, well, you never did it. They did do it. And then two, they can figure out exactly where the water bottle filler is, where the pucks are, because it's your first time. It's scary, even when it's something small like that. being a new guy at the rink at 6:30 a.m. It's a scary and maybe new thing for you. We need to make it as inviting as possible. So I think that's why the new guys have to show them, lead them the way, walk in their shoes, so then they can walk in the other shoes and everyone can feel included. That's my thing with that. And I told you with the fishbowl thing, like all of our systems will be built together. We'll sit down together, whether it could have been 20 minutes by myself, maybe it's an hour 20 instead, and we have to get food, whatever it is. But those memories are going to build us. And that's when I'm yelling at the guy, why aren't you back checking hard? He's understanding that I'm not doing it to be a bad guy or get on him. I'm doing it because I understand he can do more and he can do more for us. And I think that's where it comes from. So.
And that's how you get the best out of your players, building that chemistry with them where you can say mid-game, hey, I wish you did this. Because you might have some kids, if you don't get to know them that well and you critique them mid-game, you don't know how they'll respond, right? Every player responds to criticism. So you get to know them. It's a little bit easy to know, okay, what do I have to do to make sure they understand the play? And also know I'm not just picking on them, I'm just trying to make sure they're set up to succeed. And that way, obviously, the team's set up to succeed as well. And now you're obviously stepping into a program, we already mentioned this, that is heading into their second year in the ACHA Division I level. What are the necessary steps? I know you touched on this already, but what are the necessary steps, in your opinion, to building a sustainable winning program?
Yep. It's goal setting by game. I think we can't look to do something at the end of the road. Of course, we do. Of course, the end goal is to make our conference playoffs, to make a chance at nationals. Is that going to happen for us here? Who knows? I can't say for sure. But our goal is to make it bite sized, to take it by our preseason games, two first preseason games, then take it our first weekend against Northern Michigan, then our first D1 games against Western. I think taking it bite sized allows us to really focus and drill into what we need to do. If we look big picture, we're going to get overwhelmed and lose. I think we need to take it bite size and piece by piece. And with that, understand we're going to mess up. We're going to falter. We're not going to win every single game. In a perfect world, I would love for us to be 500 in conference. That's the perfect world. Will we? Probably not. But we have to understand that and have those conversations now, because if we don't have this, we do not have set expectations, we're going to fail. So I think clear expectations and having realistic and small expectations off the rip is huge.
And give yourself obviously room to grow, right? That's kind of the goal here, especially in year one for you there, and year two for them at this level, is give yourself room to grow, give yourself a grace where you can say, okay, yes, the goal is we want to be 500 in conference play, but even if that means, hey, we might start out 0-3 in conference play, let's chip away one win here and there at a time, and that's going to build a sustainable winning program over 3-5 years, whatever it may be. And now, obviously, we already mentioned some of the games that are being planned, and obviously the tournaments that are becoming, later in the fall and next winter. How excited are you for the fall and opening night at Martin Ice Arena?
Oh, I'm fired. Our first game against Western is gonna be awesome. I think Western is always a good rivalry. I know CMU Barstool is putting out something calling them Lil Bro for a bunch of stuff a couple of days ago, but no, I love those rivalries. I think it's fun. I think CMU always shows out. We have a great atmosphere there. We have a frat game every spring, and I saw the pictures from that, and the seats were packed. So I think that if we're able to get a really strong fan base in and we're able to compete day one, I think it's just going to grow from there. So I'm really excited for that opportunity and have a lot of guys there. We have a lot of returners who are fired to be at Martin, and a lot of guys who it's going to be their first time being in a packed barn. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a growth opportunity to kind of rise to that occasion against a really strong Western team who is bringing in a lot of new freshmen who've been really strong, and they were very competitive last year.
Mm-hmm. It'll be a great one to start with, obviously. And like you said, the environment, the atmosphere will be great. It's a great time for past alums, right? Former players, maybe fans of CMU, people in the area, getting them involved with the program. And I know you already mentioned your message for them, obviously, is you guys are going to play a hard style of hockey, obviously, be intense, but play the game the right way. Look for guys that are obviously doing the little things that can add up, guys that show up, guys that communicate. What's your message, obviously, overall, which I know you mentioned all of those little things, but what's your message to potential recruits for the future, current players, past players, fans? Before I step into, the next topic, I'll talk about your time at Canton. What's your final message there for all those groups that I just mentioned?
Yeah, I think the goal in a perfect world is for this program to grow to the national level, to be able to compete nationally against our big teams in Michigan. There's a bunch of great ACHA programs. You've seen the growth at Adrian, Schoolcraft D2, Stan Phelps started both those programs. The success is there, and there's a want for hockey in the area. Mount Pleasant doesn't have it. Besides us, we're the top team at our school. We're very thankful for that. Excuse me. There is other hockey there, but we are the main team. We're the top program, so it's very nice to have that. Fridays and Saturdays, Maction doesn't have any games on the weekend, so we want to be the spot to be, but we need you guys to start showing out. We're going to have fan nights. We want your input. Please reach out to our Instagrams. That's what we're going to build and do exactly what you guys want to do to build this program. It's not my program. It's not the guys' program. It's CMU's program. But so we got to build that together and work as a group to have that done.
Like you said, get people that show up and show out, obviously. And you made a great point. Football won't be there on a lot of Saturdays, right? Early in the year, they might be, but middle of the season in October, November, action games are on Tuesday, Wednesday nights. So having the Martin Ice Arena be a place that people want to be and be the place on campus that people want to go, obviously, and spend a Friday night, Saturday night, whatever it may be to watch you guys play, that'll be something very special to have their support. And obviously, I'll be supporting from afar, but I hope to be there at a game this year. I'll be rooting for Central Michigan. Fire up chips. I got my CMU hat ready to go, and I'll be buying some new gear as well from the website you mentioned, which I'll include that link to that website in the description on YouTube. I'll mention it on Instagram as well when I reshare it to my podcast Instagram story, so people can go and buy and support the program and obviously help you grow from obviously starting out. This is your first year of the program, help you build a sustainable winning program there. Having that support from fans, past alums, whatever it may be, is going to be really important. So wishing you all the best there, and excited to have you on, which now we're going to transition to talk about Canton, but excited to have you on maybe middle of the season when you guys have a big time win, have you come on and recap. It'll be special.
I'm hoping for the big ones. We have a link tree I can share with you with all our links for our golf outing, everything that you can find for CMU hockey.
That'd be great. That'd be definitely the thing I should share in there. On the Instagram and then on YouTube as well, on Spotify. It'd be great. So share that with me afterwards. And now we'll transition and talk about your experience before CMU. You obviously spent some time, I already mentioned, at Canton High School in Michigan. What was your experience like there? That was a program that had a lot of winning, going on when you were there. What was your experience like?
Yeah, I love Canton. I'm still a part of the program. I'm lucky to still be a part of it. From afar, if it's not going to be on the bench every single game. If CMU has a day off, I'm only 2 hours away, so I've already communicated with them that I'm going to be a pest and be as much as I can be there. But it's been great. When I joined the program, they came off of regional title and they had one of their worst years with the varsity program. I was watching from far with the JV team. It was great working with a lot of freshmen and sophomores who had the opportunity to play on the varsity level because of the lack of success they had. They were looking for guys who wanted to step up, and we were lucky to see that. So over my 2 first years on JV, it was really cool to build the systems with them and kind of teach them the game of hockey. And then transitioning in the third year that I would call my junior year, because I came in with those freshmen, I call my junior year. Aaron Schwartz and I kind of take over the varsity program 2 games in. We keep working through it. We competed for a park championship, came a little short, and then made it to regionals and again came up short to Plymouth. It was a really good battle, great program over there. But it's been great to be with those players. This year, we were able to finally eclipse that park championship, beating Plymouth and Salem, which was great to have. Doing it in the opponent's barn for us, we played both games away, so we swept on the road, which was great to hear. Great for us to have this year. It was a great momentum builder going into playoffs. They play great as a group. I love those guys. We're losing a lot of great seniors who are going to some great schools. A lot of guys on full rides because they were really good academics, but a lot of opportunities for juniors and sophomores to jump up. Will Schley is going to be a senior this year for us. He's been a top goal scorer since he's been a freshman. He's just one of those players who you watch him play and he's just better, and he works his bag off. And the entire team, we have guys like that. Mars and Kuba, our goalies are great. Liam Simmons is going to be a sophomore this year. We have guys who really compete for the game of hockey and have bought into the system. So I'm excited to see them after a full year. Now we're having some new guys who are only seeing Aaron and John Fitcher, the assistant coach, as varsity coaches. So a little bit more respect there and less of they're the JV coaches, a little bit looser. So I think there's going to be a huge step forward for the program this year. Liam Simmons is going to be a dog in net, works his bag off. And behind him, Evan Stevanovic, another great goalie, is going to be a freshman. So a lot of great young guys who are bought into the game of hockey and want to make Canton better. And good rivalries, a lot of good rivalries over there.
That's great, though. It's great that you'll still be involved in the program. And obviously, the influence you had on a lot of those kids is definitely something you can see. I saw on the Instagram post that CMU posted that you would be their new head coach. I saw a few of your players from Canton commenting, like, congratulations, coach, wishing you all the best. And it shows that influence, that relationship, that chemistry you built with those guys. And you truly are a player-first coach. And I had the pleasure of being your teammate in flag football for a few years in high school and then in baseball as well. And you were always a team-friendly person. You were always looking for the best of everyone around you, team-first player. And that's the way I always was too. So it was a pleasure to have you, obviously, as a teammate. And now a lot of these people that you're coaching can see that same side of you. You're a team first type of player, and now a team first coach as well. And that leads me to my next question, which obviously you mentioned seeing a lot of the kids now grow up over the last 2 or 3 years, go on to big schools. A lot of the time, that ends up being the most gratifying moment of a coach's career, right? Where you're looking at kids just grow up. It's not always winning the championship. That obviously is a very special moment in its own, but it's that influence, that chemistry you build with those guys that you see end up growing up from their freshman year, senior year, you see them going on to bigger and better things, is now a bigger and a stronger individual. What's been the most gratifying part of coaching those kids at Canton?
That's good. That's a good question.
And it could be a championship. It could be the Park championship you mentioned.
No. Of course, the Park champion is great. I honestly think it was just our banquet at the end of the year. Aaron Schwartz said some really great things about all the guys and being able to shake their hands, and even senior night. In the past, I haven't been in there because I've been traveling in February for other events. So, I was able to be there for their senior night the first time this year. So that was really cool and a very touching moment for me. I've seen those guys, like I said, from freshman year all the way up. We had a lot of different players. I had a lot of different opportunities on and off the ice to work with in events and that kind of stuff. So I had a lot of special one-on-one connections with all of them. So it's great to see them go, but also tough to see them go. Canton hockey definitely won't be the same without them. They were huge pieces, and like you said, I'm very happy that whenever they come back to Arctic Edge, they can look up at the banner and see that 2026 we won Park champs. I think that's a really big thing for them. They've been working their bags off. None of them beat Plymouth until that game through their 4 years, so that was huge for them. And just like I said, like individual memories with each guy, I think that was the biggest thing. And seeing them go to Michigan State, or Will Odd is now going to play junior hockey in the NA3 out in New York, and just seeing guys go to what they want to do now. We have some in the UP, we have some at Western going for aviation school, some at MSU for accounting and stuff like that. So it's just guys being able to do their dreams and doing it because they worked their bags off, because all those kids worked their bags off. Whether it was on and off the ice, they gave a shit and they worked their bags off.
Mm-hmm. And you were a big part of that journey and helping those guys get to where they are. They all grew up as players, as students, as individuals because of obviously influence that you have on them, and then Coach Schwartz as well, right? Obviously being there. Was he the head coach with you, right, of the varsity team, right? Which is cool. So you obviously had a guy you obviously were with at the JV level. You kind of worked your way up with, which is really cool. You built that chemistry with those guys that, graduating this past year, this past May, and then guys that are graduating next year, you had the influence and the ability to coach, which is great. And that's an opportunity that you look back at, and you have that Park championship always hanging up, obviously, as a memory, and that banner will hang forever. So you left your mark on that program, and I know you said you'll continue to be involved with them. And now that'll lead me to my next question. And obviously you learned a lot at your time at Canton, obviously as with the JV team as an assistant coach, and obviously as a head coach as well, at the JV and in the varsity levels. What did you learn from your positions there that will help you succeed at CMU now over the next few years?
I think the biggest thing was patience. I think that going from college and junior straight to high school, especially starting with JV first, I expected a lot, and of course I have to remember, of course, they're 8th graders and 7th graders or 9th graders. That's one. But two, even at the college level, I have to have patience with guys and remember their background and where they're coming from, because guys have learned differently, and they have learning disabilities, stuff like that. Like, I had the pleasure to work with a lot of guys who were on the 504s and IEPs. One of my favorite players ever, Vinny Murr. He's on the spectrum. So working with players like that, I was able to learn different ways to teach them and their ways to learn the game of hockey. So I think patience is the biggest thing, and understanding that guys learn at different paces, and guys in high school level just play hockey. Some guys play hockey and some guys are hockey players. I think the college level, I hope I have hockey players. I think every guy I'm bringing in is a hockey player. So I think that mentality switch will be great for me. But I think it's still understanding that they have school. I have one player who's in the frat. I have another one who does another club sport. I have another one who's in the medical school. There's other stuff going on. One umps. It's just there's other stuff going on in their lives, and I think understanding that's key. And I think that's what I learned a lot at the high school level.
Mm-hmm. And it's building those relationships with the guys, so you know what they're interested in doing.
Yep.
After hockey's over with. Some might want to work in hockey, and you might end up hiring them. Like, obviously, you brought back some of those with CMU last year. That was a captain of the team. You create that chemistry with those guys, and then guys are willing to come back. And I know that captain that's coming back now, working with you guys next year, you might not have known like you would, some of the players you've coached over the years. But obviously, having somebody back there that obviously knows the CMU program. That's important. Just like guys you've coached in the past, they know your coaching style. They might, reach out to you in the future for a position, whether that's playing wise, looking for a coaching job wise, right? So it's great to obviously build that chemistry with those guys. And it's great to hear, obviously, you were able to connect with so many guys in different levels, right? You obviously mentioned the person that was obviously on the autistic spectrum. Like being able to relate to those guys, it shows across the whole entire team, right? It doesn't matter if it's player one on the roster, player 25, and then you have 23 on the CMU roster you mentioned. Being able to build that relationship with those guys is really important. Everybody knows on that team that you are trying to get to know them. You're obviously trying to get to know their interests, how they like to be coached, what their favorite part of the game of hockey is, what do they like to do in their free time. All of those things add up to a winning formula. When you do get out there on the ice, game one, they know you at a better level than the first day you stepped in that door, just like you know them at a better level than when you first stepped in. So I'm excited to see all that you do there at CMU and using your experience at Canton. That's going to obviously be a benefit as well. I have one last question about hockey before I step on to talking about the Patriots. You obviously mentioned your time as a player at the ACHA level and you talked about coaching there as well. And now obviously coaching at Canton too. Like you've obviously had a great resume of hockey, whether it's playing, whether it's coaching, whether it's volunteering. You've set yourself up for a lot of success. How was your experience as a former Division I player at the ACHA level and as an assistant coach? How has that prepared you for this next step at CMU? I know you talked about what it's been like at Canton, how that's prepared you for the next level, but looking specifically at the ACHA level as a player and as a coach, how has that prepared you now for CMU?
Yeah, I think as a player, I learned how to interact with my teammates differently. I think like I had guys who played juniors for a while. I had guys just coming out of Michigan high school. So interacting with different personalities, I think that was huge. One of the main reasons I got into coaching was after juniors, I had some guys who straight up lied to me. So I think that happens a lot in junior hockey and collegiate hockey. So I think in every experience, whether I was coaching or playing, I was learning either the right way to do something or the wrong way to do something. So I think at the ACH level from a coaching and playing situation at Concordia, I learned both of those things a lot, whether with strong leaders or weak leaders or everything in between. And we had a lot of them. So I think we had a lot of different experiences and where people came from. So I think that helped me a lot with that. And then navigating to have being able to hold stuff close to the vest. I think as a head coach, I need to have certain conversations with people, and certain conversations don't need to be had with people. So I think learning where information needs to be shared and information doesn't need to be shared is key. I think that leads to success, and holding information near your vest can be really helpful when it comes to building a team and everything like that. But understanding that the team still deserves that information at some point. It's just understanding when the best time to share that information is at.
Mm-hmm. And you've learned a lot, obviously, over your career so far.
Trying to.
And you've grown a lot too, right? Like you've grown a lot as a coach, obviously, as a mentor to a lot of these players as well, which is great. And you were the right guy for the job, the right person for the job there at CMU. I'm excited to see all that you accomplished there. They definitely have set up for success having you, at the helm. And obviously, you bring a lot of experience, a lot of insight into the game of hockey, which the game of hockey at a much higher level than I do. So whenever we've talked X's and O's on the ice, I don't know too much, but I obviously, can see your passion. And I do trust your knowledge of the game. I can watch the game of hockey. I've never played it, but I can watch it and understand it. But being able to have your background as a player and now you're a coach, right, that's definitely a huge asset for the program there. So I'm wishing you all the best there at CMU and excited to see all the big things that come your way there. And now we're transitioning to talk about the Patriots really quick. Obviously, the last year went a lot better than people expected. A year ago, people would have said the Patriots would be 7-10, 9-8, and people would be kind of happy with that because it'd be progress from 2 4-win seasons in a row to winning 8 games would be a great step up. The Patriots exceeded that by a mile, going to the Super Bowl and obviously falling short, but was still a special year overall. This offseason has been busy for them. Going out and getting A.J. Brown was a big-time get. What were your thoughts on that trade between the Eagles and the Patriots getting A.J. Brown in New England?
I loved it. I think AJ Brown. I think a lot of people have some reservations about his off-ice or off-field antics. He's hockey off-field antics. But I think that of course he's gonna be an asset to the program. I think he's someone who can be a leader when he's in the right headspace and atmosphere. And I think Vrabel can be a player first coach, and I think that's huge. But I think he's also going to be able to hold him in line. I think there's other veterans in the program that are going to be able to hold him in line, which is key. I do think that production needs to be realistic for us. We can't expect them to be breaking records or anything like that. Coming off 1,000-yard season, I think that would be great. Holding water would be awesome. I think if not losing yards is great. But we also have a lot of other assets very similar to the Eagles. So it'll be very interesting to see where he goes in the targets. Of course, we're all hoping he's receiver one. But you never know when it comes to tight ends or what Drake May is going to see, and the scheme's going to be changing for next season. So, of course, we're hoping for a successful year, but who knows? How about yourself?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it was a good get because wide receiver one's been a need for them. I like what you said, though. You can't expect him to break records right away. People look at, oh, the Patriots finally got a wide receiver one for the first time since some people
Randy.
would say Randy Moss, right? Like, and Edelman was a wide receiver one. Gronk was a tight end, but he was a primary option for some time. But this is probably the most physically gifted receiver the Patriots have had since, I would say, Randy Moss. So people will have some crazy expectations, but I think you're right. Expect hopefully another 1,000-yard season, but having him in this offense is going to open up the field for Kyle Williams more, and also a guy like Kayshon Boutte, right? They're going to have more attention drawn on AJ Brown, so that these guys are going to be able to get open, hopefully, and flourish. And what are your expectations of Drake May? Obviously, had a great year last year, was second in the MVP race. What are you hoping for this coming season?
I think similar situation. It can't be a slump, right? I think it's not going to be a surprise anymore. Everyone knows Drake May's name. They're on the scouting report. Everyone knows he's a threat with his legs, throwing it, play action, everything. So I think same situation as AJ Brown. If he can hold water, that's a perfect world, right? So I think we have to understand, of course, he's going to take several steps back because now people are scheming for him more. But also, like I said, hopefully Trevion Henderson can be a huge breakout player for us. I think he's going to be someone who might not be seen as a huge threat for us going into next season comparative to our air game. So I think that's going to be something that if Vrabel can utilize and hopefully Will Campbell can get a little stronger and going forward.
Yeah, do you have faith? You mentioned Will Campbell. Do you have faith in him bouncing back in his second year?
So I think we could agree the run game's stronger than him than the pass game. I think we can all agree with that. Anyone who watches the game. So I think that if he can take strides with his lateral pass protection, I think that's the biggest thing he needs to work on. And just like I was saying, it needs to be spit and wipe. You can't keep it in your head, and it can't just keep rolling. And I think sometimes he would be doing the same stuff over and over again and trying to see a different result. And that's kind of the definition of insanity. So I think we got to try to build that repertoire and kind of find different ways to counter different moves, whether it's a swim or a power rush or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a great point. His run blocking was a lot better than his pass blocking. And he also went up against some really tough pass rushers, right, in that playoff race. Khalil
Yeah.
Mack being one, Nick Benito being another.
Yeah.
The Seahawks defense overall was just
A lot of, a
all
lot
over
of the one defensive players, right? Like the big guys who rush, and I think they knew that he was the weak side, so I think that hurts. Um, Hopefully with like the younger draft pick this year and some other depth at that position, hopefully we can lower those snap counts for our guys and hopefully come in with more energy than other guys, and maybe that'll help us out. But preseason will be interesting to see what the rotations are between the first and second teams.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the new guy they drafted, Caleb Lomu out of Utah, an offensive lineman. Were you happy with that pick? I know it's not attractive taking an offensive lineman 2 years in a row in the first
Yeah.
round. Were you happy with that pick by the Patriots?
I think it's a safe pick. Would I say happy? No, I think it's really safe. I think that Utah was really strong. If you looked at the run game, it was very consistent. The head coach now being hired by Michigan, I think that shows that how strong that program one was and can kind of show how he might have been a hidden gem last year. So hopefully that will transition to uh, the O lineman being strong and having a strong IQ and being hopefully coached well. I don't know a ton about O lineman stats and skills and everything like that, so hopefully he'll be a strong asset for us. But like I said, safe pick, not my favorite, but I think safe is always cute when you're knocking on the door for a Super Bowl, right? You don't need to make a huge splash, and we did with our wide receiver core. So I think that's it. I think we just keep it simple and ball with the guys we got.
Mm-hmm. And Lomo's a guy that fell in the draft, right? So I think it was a safe pick in that regard because value-wise, you get him at the end of the first round. It's not like you had to trade up. He just fell to you. And offensive line's never the attractive pick from a fan's perspective, but it's a needed pick, right? Like you mentioned, the offensive line definitely needs to be better. And to set up Drake May for success, you need guys that are better in the run blocking game and then obviously the pass blocking game. And it doesn't hurt to ever take another stab at a guy, which obviously you tried with Will Campbell last year. And I still think Will Campbell will bounce back. I actually have faith in him doing so. But adding another offensive lineman, having another younger guy in the room, like you said, will help. Obviously, maybe they'll both be learning the game at the same time and gel, and maybe they'll be both, offensive linemen, two guys that'll be, in your starting five for the next 5-10 years. I think that's always the goal when you're drafting on the offensive line.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Exactly, right? You build that chemistry with guys.
Oh, absolutely. And I think iron sharpens iron, and it's the same thing with having recruits. Like there's two different ways of playing the game and seeing the game from two different programs. So it's two different coaches and philosophies and schemes. So I think it's the best way to learn is just to be in a room with different students. You got to be students of the game. If not, even at that level, you're losing if you're not going to be a student of the game.
Mhm. Absolutely, and
Once,
I love that
once
view.
you think you know enough, that's when you kind of lose.
Mhm. When you're not open to learning more, and you're just like, oh, it's somebody else's fault for the reason we're losing, or oh, somebody else will figure it out. When you're looking for ways to make excuses, that's the issue. But like you said, there's always ways to grow and learn, obviously. And Brady, one of the best athletes of all time, was always looking for ways to get better, get stronger, and have a better workout plan, better practice regimen, whatever it may be. And that's obviously was a big part of his success. I do want to ask you one last question before you go. And I'm not sure if I've asked you this in the past. I think it's something I've done more recently with a lot of my guests is I asked the Mount Rushmore of theirs for whatever city, they grew up in. So I had my friend Christian Kutsubis. You met him before, a kid I went to BC with. I asked him his Mount Rushmore of New York athletes the other day. I'll ask you the same, but for Boston, and that could be, you could go two ways with it. The best four Boston athletes of all time that you've seen play or not seen play, or just your favorite four, or a mix of the two, whatever it may be. And I'll give you my four so you can take a second to think. And I feel like mine's changed over the years, but the other day when I gave my four, it was David Ortiz, Paul Pierce, Mookie Betts, and Patrice Bergeron. That was my four. I didn't have a Patriot. As you know, I'm a Giants fan, so
Yeah,
I'm
fair
sure
enough.
you have a Patriot.
Yeah.
But I'll hear your four on it. I think it'd be good because obviously you're a fan of all four Boston sports teams. So
It's funny you say that. So when I think about it, I think my main two are going to be Bruins and Sox. So I'll probably my thought is I'll go 2-2 with that. Um, when it goes to the Bees, my first thought is Marchand. I'm always a Marshy guy. I love the rat mentality and just kind of being a pest. And then the other one's Tim Thomas. Love Tim Thomas. His playoff run was great. That's my biggest memories as a kid. And then when it comes to baseball. Got to go with Jason Varitek and then Pop Bond. Those are my two favorite baseball guys from when I was younger. Varitek, maybe a catcher, and Pop Bond. I just like the swagger and just the way he played the game. It was just he dominated. It was just the way he played. So it was very great, good way to watch. Good way to play. Excuse me.
Yeah. All those guys you mentioned, though, were a pleasure to watch, though. All the energy they brought and
Yeah,
all brought great memories back to Boston in their own ways, right? Which is something that's not easy to do. Boston's a tough place to win. So to have great memories when you leave here, which obviously we're a town that's just used to winning. So a lot of time, if
yeah,
you do win, you do become a legend here. But if you're here during tough times, it's tough to say for players that were here for 1 year and we struggled for them to be a fan favorite for anybody. All the guys you mentioned were fan favorites because they had that winning formula. They were part of a winning recipe that brought memories back for a lifetime that we'll have forever. Like Marchand, you mentioned, like he's a Stanley Cup champion. I know he won with Florida, but he did win with us too, right? So
yeah.
the Bruins legend forever. And you mentioned the Bruins really quick. I want to ask you one question about them. What are you hoping they do in the offseason, whether it's address a certain position, whether it's a certain trade, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think center one is key. We need a center one. We just don't have one. I would have loved it to be Larkin. But I mean, let me rephrase that. I would have loved it to be Larkin when he announced that he wanted to be traded. When it was announced the places he wanted to go, he was scratched right off my list. I know he didn't pick the Bees, but when you're choosing a team that's already stacked, you don't want to do any work. You're going to be a center three on Vegas, dude. Like, what are we doing? So it's just like shit like that. So I think finding guys who want to be in Boston or guys who've been in Boston. I think if we weren't going to get a center one, I'd love to see Sagan back in Boston. I think he's a guy who has now learned the game and he can still put the puck in the net. So I think it's something we need. He's a little bit older, so it wouldn't be my first pick, but a guy that I know would enjoy Boston being back here. D side, I don't think we really need any changes. We have strong D. Lorai needs to figure it out, but I could see him also being moved in a trade down the line. So no, I think center one's the biggest need, and Swayman's got to figure it out because can't be missing pucks from the blue line like he did in the Olympics.
Yeah, I completely hear you on the center one position. That's been a need for the Bruins now since
Bergeron.
Bergeron left,
Yeah,
right? Once
yeah,
Bergeron left, they never filled that void, just like once kind of Brady in his last few years, they never really filled that kind of number one option, at the wide receiver position. I guess they had Edelman, but once Gronk kind of started tailing off and he got hurt and got banged up, the
yeah.
Patriots never really figured out the void there. Just like now with the Bruins, like you said, the center need is still definitely something they need to address. And then obviously, Swayman had some good moments this year, right? Like he did grow and he was a lot better this year than he was last year. But there was room for growth, especially if you look at from a defenseman perspective. You mentioned Low Rye, like we got to turn the puck over less. And I like Low Rye. I think he's a really talented young player, but now he's been in the league a few years, right? You can't just make excuses anymore and say he's young. Like he's now been in the league for I would guess 3 years, right? Like he's been in the
Oh
league.
my gosh, I think came in 24, he's 27-ish now, 26. Yep, that sounds
Yeah,
right.
so 2 or 3 years he's been in the league. Like you can't be making the same mistakes you made as a rookie. Can't turn the puck over and lead to a 2-on-1, and also not hustle getting back. And obviously he's still young, so he still can't figure it out. I don't want to make an excuse and say, oh, he's young, so it's okay to turn the puck over. No, I mean you got to show progress. You got to learn from your mistakes, and that's obviously something I'm sure you're preaching with the guys that you're coaching now is learning from your mistakes. But one last thing I want to ask you before I let you go. Obviously, you're coming back to Boston in the next couple of weeks. I know you're getting some time off, and their coaching cycle when you're a coach, it's really tough, right? The summers are busy, fall,
Yep.
winter, spring, all of that's busy. You're going to get some time off in the next couple of weeks. What are you looking forward to doing, in your time off besides just sitting down and relaxing, which I'm sure is something that you're looking forward to doing?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, the stuff I'm excited to do is kind of still around hockey. Of course, I'm gonna take some time off and go down the Cape, check out some Cape League games, hit the Gov, see the Commodores play. I'm excited to see them play again. I've been down there in a couple about a year. But also I'm excited to go to the Chowder Cup, go scouting there. I'm hoping to run something with Limitless Hockey and the Frozen Jungle, some kind of high school camp as we run our summer men's league and girls league for college and guys. And high school for guys and girls out of Bach. I'll be down there for a bit, checking that stuff out. But no, enjoying the Cape, catching a Red Sox game, and hopefully just catching some Z's is my plan.
There you go. Well, you do need that time, obviously, to rest, but I know you'll still be busy working and recruiting and trying to obviously set your team up for success, as you always have. You've always been a hard worker and always looking for ways to improve. And that's something you already mentioned. Something you want your guys to do is obviously look for ways to get better and get stronger and set yourself up for success. So wishing you all the best, obviously, at Central Michigan. Looking forward to seeing you when you're back in Boston. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for your time today, Liam. Always great having you on. I'm looking forward to having you on again in the future, my friend.
Thanks, Jamie. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.